Now can you hear me?
Yes. Good afternoon, Your Honor. David Del Rey.
Oh, Mr. Del Rey. And is Mr. Gordon there?
It shows that he's connecting.
That's what it says.
Then, Judge, we have a court reporter, Mary, who I think is trying to get in. Can you let her in from your end?
I wasn't sure who she was, so I didn't bring her in right away.
Thank you. No problem.
Anyway, it appears Mr. Gordon is still trying to connect to audio based on what I see on my screen.
He was on video and audio with Judge Matthews, so.
I'm here and can hear everybody, but my camera keeps freezing. So it looks like I'm maybe not here, but I am.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Gordon.
Yes.
Okay.
My part.
You can hear us now?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly fine.
Okay, and all I can see is the top of your head. There you go. Okay, so what I have in front of me, in fact, so just so we all know, obviously this is not in person because of the situation we are in with the virus. It's a civil matter, so it doesn't have to necessarily be in person anyway. It's an order of protection. It's up for hearing on the order for a plenary order. On screen, I've got Ellen Morrison.
Hi.
Okay, and then there's obviously her attorney, Mr. Del Rey, Mr. Gordon, and then there's a court reporter, Mary, Kartheiser. And,
Judge, I'm
so-
also present too. Don
Judge,
is also present.
and
Don Morrison is Ellen's
Morrison.
husband. I just wanted to make you aware of that. He is going to be our first witness if this proceeds to hearing. And so I just wanted to make sure there wasn't any sort of conflict.
I don't have any, I should tell you, Mr. Gordon, I know Mr. Morrison, I know him from, well, because he's been an attorney here in the county for a long time, and I've been either an attorney or a judge in the county for, I think, 38 years.
Wait, so is this based on like history,
just-
or is this based on, you feel me, like us handling this case though? You feel me? Because like I possibly might know somebody that's in y'all field or something. Like, you feel me? I don't know, but I'm just
I'm
saying.
sorry,
Like,
I gotta tell you, I am not understanding this well enough to take this down.
because he
Hold on,
basically said that he knows
Mr. Gordon,
like
Mr.
I'm
Gordon.
saying, like, is this like a like y'all
I'm not
think,
getting
like,
this.
because he basing it off of
Ma'am,
history, like,
reporter,
as in,
be
like,
quiet for a
oh,
second.
I've known him for, like, what does that mean? Like
Mr. Gordon.
you feel me?
Mr. Gordon, stop talking for a moment. All I'm doing is letting you know ahead of time that I know Mr. Morrison. That's the only thing I'm letting you know, that I do know him and he's being called as witness. I know him personally because I've been either a practicing attorney here for 20 years in the county, and I've been a judge for 18. In fact, Mr. Morrison, when he was in the state's attorney's office, I think we did 2 trials against each other when I was a criminal defense attorney. I'm just putting you on notice that I know him. And frankly, probably every judge in the county knows him because he's practiced here for a long time, and most of the judges have practiced, depending on how long they've been a judge or a practicing attorney. I'm just letting you know ahead of time because I'm not recusing myself, but I'm just putting it out there that I know him. I mean, I don't know him as, I don't know him, I mean, we don't go out socially or anything like that, but we know each other. Years and years ago, I haven't been a defense attorney in 18 years, but when I was a criminal defense attorney and he was a state's attorney a long time ago, I tried at least 2 trials against him that I can remember. I did a lot of trial work as a criminal defense attorney. So I'm just letting you know that I am familiar with Mr. Morris. That's all. I'm just putting that out there just so that you, for full disclosure.
All right, that's
all.
fine.
Okay. So anyway, basically, I take it you are not agreeing to the allegations in the petition for an order of protection, Mr. Gordon.
No. Well,
Okay.
not towards my son. Like them, like I really don't care for them. Like that's what they don't understand. Like I don't care about them. I don't even care about my son. And they want it to where it's like a family thing, as in like, oh yeah, if you don't care about it, like I don't know what they want out of me, but I don't want nothing from y'all. I just want my son. So I actually see my son daily, weekly, monthly. I don't see him. You feel me? I just got out of jail. Y'all basically made me sign papers for sit here lying. I'm in the county. And y'all lied and made me sign papers saying that this is for his private medical costs. Like, oh yeah, well, he still has bills that he has to be paid off, and ooh, this and that. We have a private medical, this and that. So I'm thinking like, all right, bet. If it's financial, like far as like medical wise, like, all right, bet. Y'all can do that because of the fact of my parents could have did that themselves. They took upon themselves y'all offer, so therefore I gave it to y'all as in like, all right, since y'all the first one that came to me about the little financial situation, about his medical bills, go ahead, you feel me? Because y'all came to it. Y'all came first. Y'all brought it up. The whole time it wasn't even about that. It was about the whole guardianship. It was like it was things that they didn't put in there that they should have had told me that I wouldn't have signed them papers. But then they start telling me like, oh yeah, if you don't sign them, we're gonna still make you unfit. We're gonna still make you unfit. So basically, if you don't sign them, we can still get these papers sent into the judge and get them signed off anyway. So it's not gonna matter. So basically, it was like a bribe. It was like but I'm thinking like this. What I'm thinking now though. That's why like deeply of me sitting back thinking all that time incarcerated, like daily thinking of that, I'm thinking like, wow, this is what they had just did. And like when I came to start thinking about it, it was things that they didn't tell me that they should have had told me, like as in like, oh yeah, we want full guardianship over your son. If I would have known that they wanted full guardianship, I wouldn't have one for that. I would have had waited until I got out and took them to court because of the fact of I didn't have the kid with Ellen Morrison. I had it with her daughter. That's why I'm like, and I don't understand why I'm not seeing my son. I just got out of jail. I've been not in no police contact whatsoever, and I'm still the only police contact that I've been in is with
Mr.
this
Gordon,
OP.
Mr. Gordon. Okay, that what you're talking about, a lot of it has to do.
I'm talking about the fact of
Mr.
my
Gordon,
son,
right
though.
now, Mr. Gordon, right now, the only thing before the court is a petition for an order of protection.
Right,
If you've
but
got,
I thought this was a hearing, though.
if you wish to contest guardianship or try and get custody of the child.
No. It wasn't even that. I was explaining. That's the thing.
Listen to me so I can explain it to you. Right now, the only thing that's in front of me is the order of protection. That's the only thing that's in front of me. If you have an issue with the fact, okay, if you have an issue with the fact that
That's all I'm talking about.
Ms. Morrison has guardianship, or what the parameters of that guardianship is, or any of those matters, that's something that if you want to change that guardianship, or try and do something about that guardianship, or try and get custody of the child yourself, or do any of those things,
Okay.
those are things you're going to have to raise in a different proceeding, in a different courtroom, with regards to if you want to try and go in and vacate the guardianship, you have to go file a petition before that judge that granted that guardianship and make your and give your reasons.
No, I understand that, but I was just making it so because like the story that I was trying to get, like it was pertaining right into the order of protection. That's what I was saying, because the fact of why is my son on there? You feel me? Y'all can be on there. Why is my son on there? Like y'all finna take my son away from me for 2 more years. I only seen him 4 times since I've been home. I've been home. Next month will be a full year that I've been home, and only seen him 4 times out of a whole year. What father is gonna be happy of seeing a son 4 times? And didn't think I'm supposed to be sitting here calm, cool, and collective every day, every day, all day, and just be like, oh yeah, my son is out there, and I'm not seeing him. And I asked to see him, but then I'm the deadbeat because why? I'm not around. I just bought him over $2,000 worth of designer clothes, Gucci, Louis Vuitton. And guess what the mom said? Take it back. She don't want nothing from me. So why is it going on my son though? Okay, it can go on y'all. Why is it going on my son?
Well, again, we're gonna have the hearing, and then they're gonna have to set forth whatever their reasons are for asking for the plenary order of protection. It appears that Judge Matthews gave them the emergency order of protection. So basically what's gonna transpire is Mr. Del Rey is gonna call witnesses. He's gonna ask, as he just said that he was gonna call first Don Morrison, and then it appears he's gonna probably call Ellen Morrison. And then after Sir, you're not helping yourself. Just listen, I'm trying to explain the procedure to you. He'll call a witness. He'll ask questions. Presumably they'll give answers. After he asks them questions, excuse me, you will be able to ask them questions, basically cross-examine them, and ask them questions. Then he'll presumably put on his second witness, being, I presume, Mrs. Morrison, and then you'll be able to ask her questions after he's asked questions. And then you have an opportunity to testify yourself if you wish to, or call other witnesses if you wish to. And then obviously if you testify, Mr. Del Rey would have the opportunity to ask you questions. You called another witness, he would have the opportunity to cross-examine or ask those witnesses. After he's presented everything and you presented everything, then basically it's up to me to determine whether or not to grant the order of protection. I don't know if there's been any discussions between the parties to try and resolve this outside of this, but it appears there hasn't been, since we're all here now ready for hearing.
Well, Judge, can I address that, please?
Yes.
Thank you. Just by way of background, Ellen is the grandmother. She has guardianship, as Mr. Gordon says, through a probate case
Why are you repeating?
of his, Mr. Gordon's son and her daughter, who had a baby together. She's had that guardianship since 2018. When Mr. Gordon
Was
got
locked up?
out of prison, there has been visits that my client, Ellen Morrison, has set up with him that resulted in an incident which took place, which is described in the verified order of protection in March, when we allege he would not return the child. In any event, Judge, what we're asking for, and what I think Mr. Gordon has mentioned when we were talking to Judge Matthews, is he's not opposed to giving us the order of protection for everyone listed, other than Sarah, which is Ellen's daughter. We're not asking for her to be protected because she communicates with Mr. Gordon, and that's her prerogative. She's an adult.
So why's my son?
But excuse me, just let me finish.
Mr. Gordon,
Why the fuck is my son on there then?
Mr. Gordon, when you were talking to me,
On there.
he didn't interrupt you.
On there.
So let him speak. When he's done speaking,
On my
then
son.
you can respond, okay? And if there can be an agreement between the parties, which is probably in the best interest of everybody, if that were the case, I'd mute me out of this and let you all talk. I don't know if that's would be fruitful or not, Mr. Del Rey. You'd know better than
Yeah, so what we want to do is we want to continue to have Levi on the order of protection as a protected party. However, we want to have Mr. Gordon have parenting time. And it didn't work out with Ellen doing this exchanging. The only way that we see that we can do it is through the Family Visitation Center in Mundelein. And that would be supervised parenting time during the week. Try that out for however long. And if that works, and there's a level of trust that's rebuilt, then we can come in and amend the order of protection to allow for some more unrestricted parenting time. But so that would give Mr. Gordon the parenting time that he wants, yet also giving the Morrisons the protection I think that they need and deserve.
So basically what you're saying is something happened to them. I did something basically, huh? Because that's basically what y'all saying. Y'all saying, so if anything supposedly happened to them, I did something.
No,
what I'm saying, right, Mr. Del Rey?
No, not at all, sir. What I'm saying is we want the order of protection. We think it will be granted based on the allegations, but we want you to see your son through the Family Visitation Center, which is a program set up in the village of Mundelein.
No, I'm cool. I just look
through the county
I just
of
see him
Lake.
when he's 18. I just see him when he's 18. I'm gonna just this hearing. I want to go through with this hearing, and if that's not, and if it turns in their favors, I'm not gonna see him until he's 18. You feel me? And I don't even want to talk no more about it. That's it.
Well, that's probably not a great idea, and
That's
we
probably
don't want that. We don't
that's probably
want
the
that.
best idea that I have.
Mr. Gordon.
I promise you, that's what I'm doing.
Okay, Mr.
Okay.
Gordon. And I'm talking to you not so much as a judge right now, I'm talking to you more as a dad, okay? We can make, and again, I'm looking at this from what would be in your best interest, but mostly the child's best interest and mom's best interest. And looking at it from the child's best interest and still looking at what is, gives peace of mind to the guardian, as long as she is the guardian, that, you know, sometimes it's a slow process. And I'm not saying a real slow process, and Mr. Del Rey isn't even alluding to a slow process. But if this goes to hearing, and I've read the file, if it's sure not going to benefit your child, it's sure not going to benefit you or anybody else if I grant the order of protection and you don't see your son until he's 18. That's a lifetime away from now. I mean,
That's not my problem. I tried. I'm gonna tell him when he get older. I'm gonna tell him I tried. That's it. They did this. I didn't do this.
What I'm saying is this: why don't I get off of this call for a little bit, and just for a little bit, and see if you and Mr. Del Rey can work something out? Because I can't really work out anything for the two of you. It's not a pretrial. It's not like that. But it sure would seem like, and again, I'm talking to you as a dad. I want to see my son. It's apparent you want to see your son. So the bottom
That's what I'm
line
saying.
is,
Out of 2
okay,
years,
but
only
you know
four.
what,
Like,
it's not gonna, unrestricted is not gonna probably happen overnight regardless. So you're better off, wouldn't you like to rather see him on the next day or so, somehow set up and then,
I'm fine. I haven't seen him in 4 months now. I can keep it going. I'm fine. Trust me.
Judge,
18
I
years?
did-
My heart then
How-
got cold. Like seriously, like I trained myself days and days and days and nights trying to actually get through of not seeing him, and I've actually got through it. So now, like, I can wait till he's 18. Finally, I can really do that. So that's one reason why I'm not. If it goes in a favor, I'm not tripping. I'm gonna wait till he's 18, and then once he actually found out why I wasn't in his life, I'm gonna tell him. They took me out of your life for 2 years, so therefore I thought, why should I be in your life? And I want in your life from the beginning for the first 2 years. So that's 4 years of me without you. No, I'm good. That means I don't need to be around you. I don't need you there. That's just how I feel.
Why would you wanna miss 18 years of him growing up?
It'd be 14 years of him growing up. I'll be missing more. But I don't care. I don't care. Like this is my mindset. This is how I feel right now. So I'm sticking with it, and I'm not changing it. This is on my grandma. I'm not changing it. I'm not.
All right, Judge, I think based on that, we should probably just start the hearing if that's the attitude.
Yeah.
I guess so. Okay. Who you gonna call first?
Your Honor, I'm gonna call Don Morrison.
Want to raise your right hand, please, Mr. Morrison? Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Do.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yep.
Thank you. So you're Don Morrison, is that correct?
Yes,
You reside in Lake County, Libertyville, Illinois, is that true?
true.
And who do you reside there with?
Reside there with my wife, Ellen, my children, Jax and Camden, and my stepdaughter, Sarah, and Levi.
Okay, and Levi Gordon, how old is Levi?
He'll be 2 on Saturday.
Okay, and who is the mother of Levi?
Sarah Mansfield, my stepdaughter,
That's Ellen's daughter, correct?
correct?
And who is the father?
Leroyce Gordon,
And that's Royce Gordon, who's on this Zoom call, correct?
correct?
Okay. Now, after strike that, are you aware of guardianship that was granted to your wife?
Yes.
How are you aware of that?
Shortly after Levi was born, Royce was incarcerated. I believe at that point he was he was arrested about 2 or 3 weeks after he was born, and at some point Sarah and Ellen decided that it was in Levi's best interest for Ellen to be guardian, and one of the main purposes was to procure private health insurance through Ellen's work.
Okay. And the guardianship was not contested by Leroyce Gordon. Is that right?
That's correct. Sarah voluntarily signed it, and I did visit Leroyce while he was incarcerated in Lake County. I dropped off a consent form for him to sign. I explained to him that he could either voluntarily do it or we'd have to have a hearing and contest whether or not it was in the child's best interest. I explained to him that it did not have to be permanent and that the main reason we were doing it was to get health care and to provide a stable environment for Levi until both Royce and Sarah were ready to be parents, and neither one of them were at the time.
Okay. And with the letters of office that issued on September 14th, 2018, in the probate case, Ellen essentially has the care, custody, control of Levi. Is that correct?
Correct.
Now, at some point, fast forwarding since January, since the letters issued in September of 2018, did you cause a letter to be sent to Mr. Gordon on January 14th of 2019?
Yes, I did.
Okay, what was the reason that you sent him a letter?
I actually sent him a letter and I copied his attorney. His attorney was a public defender. Then it was Lou Picios. And the purpose of the letter is I had heard that he was going to be either put on probation or sent to prison. And I wanted to make sure that at that point in time, he was not welcome at our house. But I put in the letter that he would be in the future once we see that he gets out and he's complying with probation, parole, and whatnot. And I also said, Ellen signed the letter as well, and it said that he is not to have any unsupervised contact with Levi, but we were in favor of supervised contact with him, and that after time, again, we would allow him to have unsupervised contact.
I'm cool. I think.
Now, after that letter was sent to Leroyce while he via hand delivery to the Lake County Jail in January of 2019, some point thereafter, did you or anyone at your residence receive a letter from the Illinois Department of Corrections?
There was a letter addressed to the Illinois Department, addressed to Sarah Mansfield from the Illinois Department of Corrections.
And it was sent to your home?
Yes.
And what was the content of that letter?
That letter was to notify us that Mr. Gordon had told the parole board that he would be residing at our residence upon his release from prison.
And that was after you had hand delivered the letter saying that he was on notice not to be on the premises or allowed anywhere near your residence, correct?
Correct.
And he addressed it to Sarah, your stepdaughter, right?
Correct.
And did you respond to that letter from the Illinois Department of Corrections?
She's the one that told me to put it on there.
I did. I responded that I do not agree. There's a spot to say, yes, I agree, or no, I don't agree. I circled, no, I don't agree. I also wrote a letter, and I copied the letter that I sent back in January, where not only is he not allowed to live here, but he's on notice, and the Libertyville Police Department was on notice that he was not allowed in my residence.
Okay. Now, thereafter, do you know around what time of the year that Mr. Gordon was released from the Illinois Department of Corrections?
July of 2019.
Okay. So
No, it was.
Just shy of approximately a year ago?
I wasn't released on the 19th. But I'm gonna let him know his. I'm gonna let him tell his facts though. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, sir.
All right, I appreciate that. Thank you, Your Honor. So on or about July of 2019, Mr. Gordon is released. What, if anything, happened with respect to time that he had with his son after his release?
After his release, it was probably within a month or two. It was still the summertime, I believe. He was allowed to have an overnight visit with Levi at a house in Zion where Royce's mom was staying, and Ellen was able to speak with Royce's mom and was comfortable with that setting and allowed him to stay overnight that time. And then I would say probably 4 or 5 other times until this incident on March 1st. I would say it was a total of probably 5 to 6 overnight visits that he was able to have with Levi.
Okay, and
Over a year.
those were set up from on or about July through March of 2020 between Mr. Gordon and the guardian, your wife, Ellen Morrison. Is that right?
Right. And a lot of times it was with the assistance of Royce's mom.
Okay.
Ellen was talking to as well.
Okay. And so some agreements were reached that and as a result of those agreements, he had at least 4 to 5 times with his son. Is that right?
Prior to March 1st, yes.
Correct. Okay. Now I want to turn your attention to March 1st. Was one of those arrangements made between Mr. Gordon and Ellen for parenting time for Mr. Gordon and Levi?
Yes.
Can you tell me? Okay, hold on. Can you tell me what was the arrangement?
The arrangement was Ellen dropped off. I was going to stay for one night. Ellen dropped Levi off at a hotel, the Country Inn Suites in Zion. Royce had indicated that to either Sarah or Ellen that he had a little more privacy there. There was a lot of people in the other houses he was staying at, and Ellen didn't have a problem with that and allowed him and dropped off Levi on Saturday, whatever that day was, February 28th or 29th. Dropped him off on Saturday to pick him up on Sunday.
Okay, approximately what time on February 29th, that Saturday, did Ellen drop off Levi?
I don't remember.
Okay. Do you know what the agreement?
It was during. It was in the afternoon. Was my best recollection.
And the agreement was he could have an overnight, correct?
Correct,
Unsupervised, correct?
correct.
Y'all came and
Okay.
got my son at 10 a.m. No later than 10:15. Y'all was right there with the police. Oh, bro. I don't have to lie. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna keep it funky with you for real.
Judge, can I just ask that when it's his turn?
Yeah, Mr. Gordon, just wait, and then you'll have the opportunity to ask any questions you want of Mr. Morrison.
All right, thank you, Your Honor. So, Mr. Morrison, then there was an overnight, and what were the agreements for the return time on Sunday?
Just that Ellen would touch base with them like usual and set up a time to come and get him.
And did that happen?
It was getting to be later in the morning.
Oh, you don't even know.
Ellen hadn't heard from him yet. And then there was some communication with, that he had with Sarah, where he indicated that.
No, Mr. Delray, Mr. Delray. Mr. Gordon's not an attorney, but there's only so much hearsay that's gonna be allowed here.
Okay.
No, I understand. That's
Yeah,
fine.
So if Ellen's the proper witness on some of this, that's fine, but.
Yep.
Or Ms. Morrison, I should say, but, you know, I've let the hearsay go a little bit, but we're past that.
Understood. Thank you. I'll move forward. Mr. Morrison, do you know if there was an agreement reached for a return time on Sunday?
That's asking for hearsay, counsel.
That's what I was.
No, it was asking for a yes or no question, Judge.
Oh.
But
Do
he
you
would not know that without getting counsel. He wouldn't know that without getting it from somebody else, which is hearsay. Come on.
No, he was personally involved in this,
Counsel,
Judge.
it's not right.
Okay. Mr. Morrison,
If
Did you-
he was personally there and he heard a conversation and heard Mr. Royce say that something, then it's not hearsay. But if his wife or his stepdaughter told him, it's hearsay.
well, I was trying to lay the foundation. That's why I first asked a yes or no question, but I'll move forward.
Okay.
At some point, did you personally have to go to Zion?
Yes,
Who did you go with?
I went with Ellen, and I had to put my son Jax in the car too, who was my 18-year-old severely autistic boy.
Okay. And you drove where?
We got in the car to drive towards Zion, and due to the nature of a extremely disrespectful text message that he sent to my wife, it wasn't safe for her to go by herself. And so I went with her, and the idea was going to be to try to reach either Royce or his mom on the phone on the way to determine whether or not we had to get the Zion Police Department involved.
All
In
right.
the
And
car-
go ahead.
In the car, it was on speaker. Ellen called Royce's mom, and Royce's mom indicated, and I heard this, she was asking if he could stay one more night, and Ellen said no, mainly because Levi had just started a new daycare, and it was a Sunday night, and Ellen wanted Levi to be able to sleep in his crib and get a good night's sleep before one of his first days at the new daycare.
What is this?
On the way to Zion, do you know if Ellen was communicating with Mr. Gordon via text?
No, it wasn't via text. Right after the phone call was ended with Royce's mom, where Royce's mom was purporting to tell Royce that he had to give Levi up. Then the phone rang, and it was Royce on the speakerphone talking to Ellen.
Okay, you're in the car with your wife. Did you recognize Mr. Gordon's voice?
Yes,
It was on speakerphone.
yes.
Who had the conversation with Mr. Gordon? You or Ellen?
The first thing when she hit the button to pick up the phone, all you could hear was Royce raising his voice. He was talking very fast. I couldn't hear everything he said, but he said words to the effect, "Don't come get him. I'm turning you away. I never get to see him. I'm keeping him. Don't bother coming." And then when I spoke, he heard my voice, and he's got.
What? Hold on one second. What did you say to him?
I said, Royce, this is Don. He calls me Donnie. I said, Royce, this is Donnie. I just want to let you know, I'm here and we're coming to get him. And he said, I don't like your ass. You tricked me. I swear I'm going to beat your ass. And I said, did you just threaten me? And he said, yes, I don't care if I go back to jail. I just threatened you. And so
I said I was gonna smack you. I never said I was gonna beat you. I said I was gonna smack the shit out of you. That's what I said personally. I never said I was
All
gonna
right, so
beat your
just for
ass.
the record, Judge, he actually said he's gonna smack the shit out of him.
Yeah, that's why lie though. You feel me? Look, the judge just made him put his right hand up and not lie the guy, and that's what he's doing. He don't even know what he's talking about. Half everything that he's saying is not even true.
Okay, and again, you'll have an opportunity to question him, Mr. Gordon.
So
Okay?
based on that, Mr. Morrison, and that, was there any other conversation that you had with Mr. Gordon?
no, as soon as he acknowledged that he threatened me, I hung up the phone.
And what did you do?
I called the Zion Police Department.
And what did you say to the Zion Police Department?
I said that we need assistance at the Country and Suites because we were going to pick up the child that my wife is guardian of, and we were threatened by the person who's with him right now. And I told them who it was, and they said they'd call him. They said, okay, well, we're busy. Go ahead and head there, and we'll call you back. Then they called me back and said, based upon the situation, don't go there. Go to the Zion Police Department, wait there. We're going to go to the hotel, make contact with Mr. Gordon and diffuse the situation before you get there. So
Okay, and so did you go to the Zion Police Department?
yes,
How long did you wait there?
about an hour and a half.
And then what happened?
They said that they were at the hotel, but they couldn't make contact with Mr. Gordon because he wasn't registered under his name and they couldn't get a hold of him. So they told us to come and then text him to have him bring Levi down.
Okay, so then you drove to the Country Inn and Suites, is that right?
Correct.
With Ellen and Jax?
Correct.
About what time is this now on Sunday, March 1st?
We didn't leave until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So it was probably 3 o'clock, 3:30 in the afternoon.
At the time that you actually arrived at Country Inn and Suites?
Yeah, that's my best. That would be my best guess.
Okay. What happened when you got there?
When we got there, we met with 2 of the police officers right outside the front door, who indicated that to Ellen to send him a text or reach out to him and ask him to bring him down.
Did Ellen do that?
Yes.
Did Ellen have text communication back and forth with Mr. Gordon?
Yes.
And then at some point, did he come out with Levi?
Before he did that, he sent a text that I saw. Ellen showed it to me and the police officer, and I'm just reading the text. It says, Donnie, step out the car. Me and my homies beating his ass. On my grandma grave, I'm not playing. I don't like his ass. And then Ellen responded, that's fine, just bring Levi down.
And so at some point, did he exit the Country Inn and Suites?
Yes.
Who was with him?
He had Levi in his arms, and he came down with his hood up, and 2 other people he was with right behind him with their hoods up. And I was standing outside the car right next to the police officer, and he walked right up to within about 6 inches of my face.
And in front of the police officer, what, if anything, did he say to you?
He said, you are lucky that they're here. They're not always going to be around. And you're not hard to find.
Judge, Mr. Morrison, let me interrupt you. Your Honor, it looks like...
Just for the record, it looks like Mr. Gordon is no longer on the Zoom hearing. So, I mean, it could be a technical glitch, so we'll wait a few minutes to see if he comes back on.
Okay.
Don,
Yes,
while we're waiting, can I ask you a couple spellings? Levi, Levi,
yes,
Sarah with an H,
yes,
Jax with Jax.
JAX.
Thank you.
Okay.
It appears he's, he's in the waiting room. I'll bring him back in. Mr. Royce, oh, he's connecting.
I apologize. My phone had died.
No, that's okay. I believe me, that's why we were partly late getting on, me trying to figure out, technology. So anyway, the minute that, just so you know, the minute that we saw that you had blinked off, so to speak, we stopped everything.
Right.
So, okay, Mr. Del Rey, I believe you were asking Mr. Morrison a question, or he was answering the question. Why don't you re-ask it, and then he can answer it.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Morrison, I was asking, you said Mr. Gordon came down, got within about 6 inches of you. The police officers were there, and I asked you what, if anything, he said to you.
He pointed towards the police officers and said, "You're lucky they're here. They're not always going to be around." He said, "You ain't hard to find. When I find you, me and my homies are going to beat your ass."
Okay. And then was Levi then exchanged?
He put Levi in the car, and then closed the door. He left. We talked to the police officers for a few minutes, and then we left.
Okay. Did you have any subsequent communication with Mr. Gordon after that?
Yes, he sent another text message shortly after we left the parking lot. Ellen was driving, I was the passenger, so I had her phone. I read her phone, and it said, "Everywhere I catch you, I'm beating your ass. Now show them this, LMAO."
Okay. Now, all of this occurred on March 1st, is that right?
Yes,
2020?
yes,
On March 2nd, you obtained an emergency order of protection, is that right?
Ellen,
Ellen did, is that right?
I went with
And
her.
were you present with her?
With Mr. Foos? Yes.
And what was the reason that you and your wife went to obtain an emergency order of protection?
The primary purpose was because to protect Levi from another visitation where we wouldn't be able to get him back without him saying he's not going to return him, or him threatening us, or having to call the police. So we knew that we had to change the visitation arrangements, and it wasn't safe for Levi. Not that there was any alleged abuse between him and Levi, but we just could not feel safe that if we gave him visitation time, that we would get him back, and without having to call the police. And the other main reason was because of the threats to me. I was scared for myself and my family.
Tell me about Mr. Gordon's stature. When he was 6 inches from you, how tall is he?
6'5",
How much does he weigh?
200 and something.
Do you believe that he meant what he said to you in person in front of the police?
Yes, and I believe that if the police weren't there, well, I believe that the police weren't there, that there would have been a physical altercation. And it would
And
not
did you believe the text messages that he said wherein he threatened to beat your ass?
Yes, I believe him.
Why you got to use it in that type of slang though? You could just say beat your ass. You feel me? Like you don't got to try to make it to where like you put me out there like a pinpoint. You feel me? It ain't even like that, bro.
Just read
No,
my,
I understand.
Mr. Gordon, I'm not considering anything like that, believe me. The words are the words are the
not you,
words.
Judge. I'm talking to right here.
I was reading from the text. I'll move on, Judge. That's all I have of Mr. Morrison. Thank you.
thank you.
Mr. Gordon, any questions for Mr. Morrison? You hear me, Mr. Gordon?
I don't got none.
No questions? Okay.
No, not for him. I just want to know from you, Judge, why wasn't the order of protection, if he felt safe for him, why wasn't it just put on him and Miss Morrison? Because I guess they're a package because they're a team. You feel me? So and then like, why is my son still on there? If y'all still want to bring my son around me, why is the protection order on him? Well, on me, and y'all still want to bring him around? That does not sound right. If y'all putting this on me, that means keep him from around me because y'all doing it for a reason. I don't know what y'all benefiting off this, but in the long run, he's gonna hate y'all. Like, and I'm telling y'all this because this is facts. Because I don't see him, and if I was seeing my son daily, like how I supposed to be seeing him, I wouldn't be sitting here telling y'all, oh yeah, I'm gonna keep him for an extra day. I'm keeping him for an extra 2 days. I don't see him, so therefore, when I do get a chance to see him, and he's all in my face, this, that, I want to keep him longer because of the fact that I don't see my son. Anybody else don't, y'all, you can't feel that way because why? You had your kid the whole time of what? Probably since he was born. And everybody on here, I bet you everybody on here has kids and y'all have seen y'all kids grow up since day one. Even though that I've got out of jail and I'm trying right now. I'm trying and I still can't. Like, how can a person try and still can't?
Okay, Mr. Gordon.
Yeah, no.
Again, that's more of a closing type argument type thing. And as far as it's common to put dependents on here because again, at least as the testimony is now, the bottom line is number one, at least at this point in life, Ms. Morrison is the guardian of the child. And again, as I explained in the beginning of this is just a hearing on the order of protection with regards to the allegations that were made. Part of it's for safety of the child. Again, there's certain, but being guardian, Ms. Morrison has, she's got, the power
She
as
shot a
far as
couple more years
safety
and
and those type of things. And again, that's why, you know, I suggested that, and what Mr. Del Rey had said, as far as trying to work out some sort of station so that you could maybe start out at a point where it's supervised and it's at a supervised location and work itself into a place where there's more visitation, there's more overnight visitation, and as who knows, as time goes on, be in a position where you can go into the probate court, file a petition, maybe even an agreed petition, where at some point, Ms. Morrison is no longer the guardian. Those are all things that would transpire. It's not gonna happen overnight, but the only thing that's here right now is this petition. And you said basically that, excuse me, you wanted to go forward rather than work out something for visitation now and wait till
I'm just saying why like
and he's 18, which I didn't think is in your best interest. It's definitely not in your son's best interest because he needs.
no, because this ain't answering my question though. Why is it not on him and her? You feel me? That's what I'm saying. Like, if y'all gonna put that protection on y'all, put that shit on y'all, and then he a grown ass man. How you scared of I'm just not reaching my 20s, so and you scared of a little ass kid, basically. I ain't even a kid, but you just scared of like come on, bro. And then you why is the protection? All right, I can see why it's on y'all. Why is it on my son though? I don't care about y'all. That's what I'm saying. Y'all can I wouldn't care if y'all was here today and going tomorrow. I just care about my son.
It's Mr. Gordon, it's on your son because the bottom line is
But look though, did I
Ms.
fuck her
Morrison
and have
has
a kid with her?
Ms.
That's
Morrison has,
my whole meaning.
Ms. Morrison has guardianship of your son.
All right,
Period.
look, so look, go ahead, take care of him until you're 18. They can go ahead, he can go ahead and figure out what's going on, why his daddy ain't around, this and that. And once he grew up hating them, wanting to get on his other side of the family, just know he gonna hate y'all ass. Mark my words, I'm not lying to you. He's gonna hate y'all for what y'all did. Period. So I'm just leaving it at that. I'm leaving it at that. And I'm telling him the truth. I'm telling him everything. For what I'm telling you, for my son, like, watch, y'all gonna know. Watch, when he gets older to understand, he's not gonna like y'all, not one bit. He's not gonna want to be around y'all. Period. Because look what y'all done did to his dad, bro, for no reason.
Well,
Y'all could have did that to yourself.
and again, Mr. Gordon,
But I ain't
at
tripping
this
though.
point, they're willing to work out visitation with it. You're the one
I
that's,
don't do those. I don't do those. I'm cool off them.
pardon?
I'm cool off the visitation. If they got me on protective custody, what else? Yeah, real quick. Hey, what you grab from there?
Your Honor, can I call my next witness or?
Yeah, hold on. Yeah.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Anyway, just to make it clear, Mr. Gordon, you didn't have any questions of Mr. Morrison.
No.
Okay. Mr. Del Rey, another witness to call?
Yes, I'm gonna call Miss Ellen Morrison, Your Honor.
Want to raise your right hand, please?
They're gonna stay alive.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Mr. Morrison? I'm sorry, Mr. Del Rey.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ma'am, you're Ellen Morrison, is that correct?
Correct.
Don Morrison, your husband?
Yes.
And do you live together in Libertyville?
Yes.
And do you reside there with your daughter, Sarah?
Yes.
And how old is she?
20.
And who else resides in that home?
Levi and Jackson Camden Morrison.
Are you Levi's guardian?
Yes.
And you've been so since on or about September of 2018, is that correct?
Yes.
And in the probate case, are there any provisions for parenting time for Mr. Gordon?
No.
Okay. Despite that, when he was released from prison, did you effectuate parenting time between Mr. Gordon and his son?
I did.
And that happened 4 or 5 times or so leading up to March of 2020?
Yes.
And in all those agreements you had, you were able to deliver Levi to a location and pick him up without incident. Is that true?
Yes.
Leading up to March 1 of 2020?
Yes.
Okay. And why did you set those times up?
Because I think it's important that Levi has time with his dad.
Okay. Now I want to turn your attention to February 29th, 2020. Do you remember that date?
I do.
Okay. Was that one of the dates and times that you effectuated some parenting time between Mr. Gordon and his son?
Yes.
How did you do that?
By text.
Okay. Who did you text?
Royce.
Okay. So you and Royce would text to set this up. Is that typically how it happened?
Yeah, either I'll text Royce or I would text his mom.
Okay. In this particular instance, you texted him directly?
I think so. So the dropping off, yeah, we did. We set that up with each other.
Okay. And it was going to be an overnight. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And what time and where did you drop off Levi?
I don't remember what time I dropped him off, sometime in the afternoon, and I dropped him off at a hotel in Zion.
Okay. And you saw Mr. Gordon there and exchanged with him personally. Is that right?
Yes.
Was there any incident?
No.
And was there an agreement as to the duration of the parenting time?
Not when I dropped him off, no.
Okay. At some point, did you have a text conversation with him about when the return time would be on Sunday?
Yeah, so Sunday morning, I started texting him at about 10:30, just trying to arrange a pickup time. Um, and he started saying that he had spoken with Sarah and that him and Sarah agreed that he was going to keep him another night and that he wasn't going to give him back.
Okay. And is this over text?
It is over text.
Okay. And so at some point, did you let him know via text that you did not agree with that?
I did.
And how did he respond?
He responded extremely disrespectfully.
It's
You
going to
asking
be
the same
okay.
questions. What the
It's
fuck?
going to be okay for you to say exactly what he said. Okay. Can you tell the court what he said via text?
He said, "Did I fuck you and we have Levi, or did I fuck Sarah? Because you always making it seem like it's your child or responsibility to make the rules for him, etc. Yes, I'm being respectful." I can't see the rest of it.
Okay. And how did you respond to that?
I think I just said I'm coming to get him.
Okay. And you went with your husband, is that right?
I did.
And Mr. Morrison's son, is that correct?
Yes.
And on the way there, were you having text communication with Mr. Gordon?
No, it was a phone call. I wasn't texting and driving.
Okay.
But dude just said that it was
so-
texting though. Donnie just said that it was texting though.
So you had a telephone conversation with Mr. Gordon, is that right?
Again,
Yeah,
Mr.
you
Gordon,
know,
you're gonna be,
he was-
excuse me,
He was
Ms. Moore.
texting me while I was driving. So
Again.
Donnie was,
Again, ma'am, when I'm talking, please,
Donnie was,
ma'am, just one second.
oh, I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Gordon, you'll have the opportunity to ask Ms. Morrison any questions when she's done testifying with the question from Mr. Del Rey.
Thank you, Your Honor. So you ultimately had a telephone conversation on the way to Zion with Mr. Gordon, is that correct?
Yeah, but when he called, he was talking to Donnie.
Okay, was it on speakerphone?
It was.
Okay, what did you hear Mr. Gordon say?
He said, "I'm going to turn you away." He said, don't bother coming. And then he threatened Donnie. Said he was going to
Okay.
beat his ass.
Okay, and based on that, you as a family made a decision to call Zion Police Department, is that correct?
Yes.
And they instructed you to go to the police department and not to the hotel, is that correct?
Yes.
And at some point, after waiting there for some time, were you instructed to go to the Country Inn and Suites in Zion?
Yes.
Were you having any text communication on the way there or when you arrived there?
So when we were at the police station, he was texting me, asking me like, where were we? What was taking us so long? And then just kind of saying like, oh, are you going to get the police involved? And then I just said, I think I texted him and said, we're on our way. And when we got there, I texted him and said that we were there.
Okay, after you texted him and you said that you were letting him know you were there, did he come out?
He did.
And were you out of the vehicle at that point?
No, I was in the vehicle, but when he came down, I did come around and help him get Levi in the car.
Did your husband, was he out of the car?
He was.
Were the police around you?
Yes.
How far away were the police from your vehicle and you and Mr. Morrison?
So
Stuck to y'all like glue.
it was like a drive-up hotel, so like it was a circle drive and we were kind of parked in the circle and Donnie and the cops were kind of like the passenger side of the vehicle.
So very close to the car?
Yeah. I don't know,
Okay.
like 5 feet.
What did you hear Mr. Gordon say, if anything, when he came out?
I heard him say that the police weren't always going to be around, and he was lucky that Donnie was lucky that they were there, and that he wasn't hard to find.
How did that make you feel?
Nervous.
The exchange then took place, is that right?
Yes.
And on the way home, did you have any other communication of any nature with Mr. Gordon?
He sent me one last text.
Do you recall what that text said to you?
Said, everywhere I catch you, I'm beating your ass. Now show them this. LMAO.
Okay. Now, on March 2nd, you petitioned the court for an emergency order of protection, is that right?
Yes.
Why did you do that?
Because I was scared for me and my husband and our family. And, you know, I don't think that if I'm going to be exchanging, if Levi's going to be spending time with his dad, I don't think that all of this drama and these threats is necessary.
He don't even see his own grandma now. So how's it not necessary?
And you're asking the court to protect you and your husband and Levi as his guardian. Jax Morrison, by the way, Jax is now 17, is that right? Or is he 18?
He's 18, but he's
Okay. With special needs?
Yeah.
Okay. And Camden Morrison, 17? Yeah. Okay. And you're not asking to protect your daughter, Sarah, is that right?
No.
Sarah can have communications all she wants with Mr. Gordon, is that right?
Yes.
That's all I have, Your Honor. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your question.
I said, that's all I have, Your Honor. Thank you.
Mr. Gordon, do you have any questions of Ms. Morrison?
Yeah, I don't know how it sounds to take Sarah off, but then have everybody else on, but not take Sarah and my son off because of the fact of why would you have taken her off? Like I still want something to do with her. You feel me? I don't want nothing to do with her. So like, what is the reason why ain't she on there with y'all and my son is off of it? That's my whole understanding. And then you say it as in like, oh yeah, well, you basically saying I'm too dangerous for him to be around. So why isn't he around his other grandma? He has more grandmas and granddads that he is not around, that he does not see. And you don't even call them, you don't text them, you don't mention them, you don't nothing. It's been parties y'all been having, like, you feel me, holidays, Easter, like everything's passed and no text, no nothing from nobody. Because why? You don't want nobody to even know, like why not notify them? You don't even gotta notify me because of the fact of I'm not around your age bracket, so therefore we don't really have nothing to be talking about unless because you're Levi's grandmother. So if anything, you feel me, like it'll just be out of love. You'll be taking care of him because you feel like it as a grandmother. As far as me as his dad, this is where I'm coming from, because the fact of his own grandparents is getting mad because he's not around, and they're starting not to care about him either, to where it's like sooner or later that's what it's gonna be. In a meanwhile, it's gonna be that's just Levi. Nobody's gonna care because of the fact that he's not around. So
Judge,
then again, why
I just object,
Sarah
Judge. This isn't a question.
Why is Sarah? No. I'm saying then again, why is Sarah off?
Because Sarah's not on this, and she's not asking. Sarah's an adult. She's 20 years old, and so she's not on here as a
whatever her. Look. She's 20 years old. The autistic boy, he's 18 years old. So he's legally grown. So therefore, why isn't he signing?
No.
You feel me?
That's a difference. That's a complete.
There's no difference, bro. He's still a human. He's still a human like
Gordon, Mr. Gordon. There's a distance. Number one is they're not asking. Sarah's not asking to be. Sarah's not asking. But he's not in a position because he is. And I'll quote the. He is a. And I'll take it right off the petition.
Because come on, bro, that's
Just so I can tell you exactly the difference between him and the difference between Sarah. He is
they're both regular. They're both they do the same thing. For he's human, bro. Nothing's wrong with nothing seriously wrong with him, bro. He's just like everybody else. He's fine.
No, he's autistic from what the testimony was.
Well, to me, he's regular, bro. That's how I put it, bro. I'm not gonna, just because he has a disability, something wrong with him, I'm not gonna put him on that side of the category. He's just like everybody else. So nothing's wrong with him.
Well, he's bottom line is, they've asked because he does have a disability, and he may be high functioning, he may not be, I don't know, but regardless, he's an adult with a disability, and they've asked for him to be included. They're not asking to have Sarah included, and it doesn't appear she wants to be included. So that's the difference there. With regards to, and going back again, regards to Levi, again, he's your son. There's no denying that. But right now, because of the guardianship.
Wait. Then again, how do I
Right
know
now,
that he's
because of
actually
the
my
guardianship.
son? Now I'm questioning if he's actually my son now. Now I'm gonna actually need a DNA test to prove if he's actually mine. Because now that I'm going through all of this, I don't even know if he's mine. And if he's not mine, good. Just change his first name, change his last name, and change his middle name. I don't want y'all to have nothing that I
Well,
gave.
again, you know what, again, that's a different lawsuit for a different time. If you wanted to do some sort of paternity thing or something, I can't give you advice on that, but
I'll do that shit myself.
those are all different suits for different times right now. But as it comes down to, you ask why Levi's on this, because realistically, well, not realistically, the bottom line is this: Mrs. Morrison is the guardian. At this point, and again, as I discussed with you, if you want to change that, you can file a petition in probate, but right now, she is the one that has responsibility for Levi as a minor because of the guardianship. So do you have any other questions for Ms. Morrison? Mr. Gordon?
I don't got none.
Any questions for Ms. Morrison?
Nope.
Mr. Del Rey, anything else you wish to present?
I think I'm gonna rest, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Gordon, anything that you want to present or say at this point? Mr. Gordon?
I want to say nothing.
Okay. Anything further than Mr. Del Rey?
I don't think I have any, unless you think you need some argument, Judge. I think you heard the testimony, the evidence, Judge. I think it's imperative for the Morrisons that you enter the 2-year plenary order of protection, protecting not only Miss Morrison, but her husband, the minor child, Jax, and Camden Morrison. Thank you.
Anything else, Mr. Gordon? Mr. Gordon, anything else that you wish to add?
Nope.
Based on what I have in front of me, the evidence that's been presented, I am going to grant the 2-year order of protection. And I'll prepare that, and the clerk then send it out. Okay?
Can I
Thank
just ask
you.
a question?
No.
Why don't you ask Mr. Del Rey any questions? Okay?
Yeah. Thank you, Judge. Can we just hold on for 1 second while I answer that question for her?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Are you on mute? What's your question?
He's not allowed to say no to you.
Your Honor, thank you. In filling out the plenary order of protection, despite what, obviously we want the minor child protected, but in remedy 7, we are still open to just at least giving him the option for supervised visitation at the Family Visitation Center in Mundelein, which would allow him, if he ever chooses to contact them, and we could set that up. I'm sorry, Judge, you're on mute.
Did you hear that, Mr. Gordon?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I mean, their offer to still have visitation, it's open, it's out there, but to put it bluntly, the ball's in your court, okay?
Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Okay, so with that, we're gonna end the hearing, and then I'll do the preliminary order of protection, and we'll go from there.
Thank you.
Okay.